What is up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Not So Stupid Podcast. Today we are going to be breaking down what discipline is actually like and what willpower is actually like and how you can use it in its more proper form to become the person you want to become and also ease yourself out of a lot of the stress and overwhelm that you might feel for not being as air quoted as disciplined as you think you should be, or as will have as much willpower as you think you should be. Because there's a very crazy stat. Every time I read it, I'm just blown away, where people that were doing New Year's resolutions were interviewed on why they think most New Year's resolutioners fail, because it's some crazy number of 70% of people that have a New Year's resolution will usually not complete it or follow through as well as they should. And the number one answer, I think it was, again, another crazy number of people, 80-90% of people said it's because they don't have enough willpower or don't have enough discipline. And this idea that discipline or willpower is something you either do or do not have is actually one of the real problems. Because if you think right now you don't have enough discipline to complete something, you're essentially saying that you were born without enough discipline. And as a result, you're doomed to never be able to follow through and reach the goal you want. So then it becomes not something that you have control over. This is something that you are dealt with as a hand of fate, by the hand of fate. You will never have enough discipline to follow through with this, which is just ridiculous, in the grand scheme of things. Because in reality, in the way that it works in your mind, discipline isn't this on and off switch. It's not something you do all the time or none of the time. It's something that you will variably do in different situations. You will use discipline more in certain situations and tone it down less in other situations, right? Because it's impossible to be 100% disciplined 100% of the time. That's a false expectation that we tie with discipline, and we tie with people that have the bodies that we want, that have the businesses that we want, that have the lifestyles that we want. We always imagine and think that they have so much more discipline than us, they have so much more willpower than us, but really they just have more control over their discipline than we would. And that's really the key differentiator here. It's not that discipline is this on-off switch that these people have on all the time, and when you don't have it on, it's off and you have no rules or structure to follow. It's more of a dial. It's more of something you can put to 100% when you really want to be on top of everything, or dial it back to like 60-70% when you want to cut yourself some slack. You're still progressing in that way, right? You're doing 60-70% of the things you need to do. You're sticking to the plan 60-70% of the way, but you're giving yourself some flexibility to enjoy yourself. So we're going to talk about how this is applicable in your fitness and nutrition journey specifically, but it's really going to be something that you can use in any aspect of your life, whether that is going through your schoolwork, going through family, personal development, business development, career development, whatever the case may be, whatever goal you're trying to reach toward and try to better yourself with, you'll be able to use this principle in the same exact way. So rolling off of, again, the fitness and nutrition example, a lot of people will consider that in order to be successful with their fitness and nutrition, everything needs to be 100% perfect all the time, right? That is the expectation. It's the all or nothing mentality. You need to do all 5 days a week of working out. If you miss one day, you didn't do enough. You need to hit your exact macros every single day. You got to get that exact 1,800 calories and 150 grams of protein and 30 grams of fiber every single day. And if you miss that on any one day, then the whole week is gone. It's useless to you. You need to do that in every single situation too. So it's not just you need to follow that plan to a T, but you also need to be able to do it no matter what's happening. If you're at a birthday party, if you are celebrating something, you're having someone brings donuts into the office, no matter what it is, you got to hold yourself to the standard that you can't have these things. You need to be 100% disciplined all the time. If it's not salad or fruit and lean meats and vegetables, you can't have it, right? And that's the very rigid, disciplined mentality. Obviously, there's advantages to having vegetables and fruits and lean meats and hitting your macros and things like that. You want to do those things a majority of the time to be successful and to get the results that you want, feel the way you want to feel, to have the energy you want to have, to get the body that you want. But that's not what life is about. Life isn't this very rigid thing that you need to try and force your nutrition plan into. And if you can't force it into it, then you're going to be hopeless. It's the perfect nutrition plan isn't going to work like that. The perfect nutrition plan is going to be one that gives you that flexibility to go between enjoying yourself and working towards your goals, right? So going off of that example of, let's say we are a student or even a worker that has to travel for work. We have some business meeting in another state for a few days. You have a choice at that point. You can choose to continue doing 100% of your diet, hitting your macros, tracking your food, and doing everything perfectly for the entire weekend that you're traveling and enjoying, and should be like working and enjoying yourself. You're going to enjoy yourself in the evenings. Or you can dial it back a little bit. Have 3 out of 4 meals in the day be strict, strict kind of well-structured meals. They have protein and color involved. You're staying hydrated, you take your vitamins, you do some movement and activity as best as you can. But then the last meal or two of the day, you have some dessert, you enjoy yourself, you let loose a little bit, you go out with your coworkers, or if this is a vacation, you can go out with your family and enjoy a nice dinner. You can balance it out to be able to be enjoyable without it being a detriment to your physical goals, to your personal goals. And that's the big difference here. It's not about being perfect all the time. It's about recognizing the priorities of the situation and making an informed decision about what you're going to get out of it. When I coach my clients through going to vacation, 9 out of 10 times, our goal on vacation isn't to diet. We're not trying to lose weight on vacation. The goal and priority of a vacation is always 100% of the time to enjoy the vacation and love where you're at and just have a fun time. So one of my main rules for going on vacation is not logging your food. And then just being intuitive with what you're eating and not being excessive about it. So, in these situations, it would be like having a high protein, high fiber breakfast, staying hydrated throughout the day, and then eating whatever you want in the later parts of the day. You're going to go out to different restaurants because you're on vacation. You're in a different city, you're in a different country, you're in a different state. There's going to be different foods that you weren't exposed to. Personally, I like trying all those foods. I'm a big foodie. That's one of the best parts of traveling, in my opinion. If someone told me I couldn't have those foods, I'd slap them. I would not slap them. That's assault. I would sternly wag my finger at them and say, that's not how I'm going to live my life. But I would have those foods in a manageable portion. I wouldn't have 20 servings of, barbecue if I was in Kentucky. That doesn't make sense. I would have one reasonable sized portion of barbecue with a good, with one of the famous sides that restaurant is offering, right? It wouldn't be anything super crazily excessive, and it wouldn't be every single meal of that day or even of that vacation. It's properly chosen and managed, because again, we're not going for 100% discipline here. We're toning it down for 70% discipline because of the situation that we're in. So again, it's about knowing your priorities and acting in accordance with that. You have a main priority of enjoying yourself. At least that's what I would have as my main priority on vacation. With that being said, my secondary priority would be kind of staying on track, maybe maintaining my progress instead of, if I'm on a diet phase, instead of being in a deficit, right, for a period of time. 4 days of being in a maintenance phase or a maintenance calorie intake as opposed to a calorie deficit isn't going to hurt my long-term progress a month from now, 2, 3, 4 months from now. So giving myself that option to enjoy, eat more calories flexibly, and recognize that in the long term I'll be okay, because the next 3 weeks I'm not going to be on vacation and I will have the opportunity to be more on top of my nutrition, is going to be perfectly fine. Another situation where this would be applicable is like a very busy time in your life, a very busy week in your life. You have deadlines at work and you're going to be working late the entire week. You won't be able to hit the gym because you're going to be working 12 hours instead of 8 hours. things like that, where your time is kind of thrown out of your time isn't yours at that point anymore, right? You have commitments that you need to attend to. Just like with a student, if you're a student and you have finals week coming up, you need to study hours on end. Those two situations are already stressful enough as it is. Instead of trying to be 100% disciplined in doing either of those two things and having a perfect diet and training the entire week as best as you can tone it down a little bit. Tone it down 80-70% discipline. Do those two things as best as you can, because these are your new priorities now. These are your priorities for this time period that we're talking about, for this 1 week time period. And you can put the perfect nutrition and training on the back burner for a little bit. You can give yourself a little flexibility with your eating. Again, going to have maintenance calories for a week period until you get through this point of your life, this period of time where you have these other commitments that are time sensitive. It's not, you don't have to try harder through these situations. You can work smarter because you have the rest of your life, the rest of the year, the rest of the month, whatever time frame you're going to use to still work toward your goal, to still accomplish your goal. The worst thing you can do is try to force everything together, try to keep it at 100% discipline the entire time, and then stress yourself the hell out and be super overwhelmed and not do anything as well as you could have, right? Because if you're trying to do the old Zen proverb, if you're trying to chase two rabbits, you're going to end up catching neither. Whereas instead, if you focus on one thing, focus on the one rabbit that you're trying to catch this week, which is maybe finals week, which is deadline week if you have work, or something else that you might be planning for this week that's going to take up a lot of your time, then trying to do both of these at the same time, like as in working toward your diet and your nutrition, can be counterintuitive. You might end up doing both terribly or both mediocrely instead of one really well and one being okay. You can shift your priorities to do one as best as you can and put all your energy toward that, and manage the other one to be good but not great, right? Nutrition and dieting doesn't have to be your number one focus every single day of the year all the time. There's going to be other things that come up in your life that are going to need your priority, that are going to be more important for you for a period of time. And it's okay to put your nutrition and your training on the back burner for a little bit and tone down the discipline to maximize your efforts and results in those other aspects of your life. Likewise, with that example, if you're trying to force 100% discipline and doing all things mediocrely, you end up doing both at like 50% capacity. The other outcome that can happen is you end up going with the all or nothing mentality, and you end up throwing your nutrition completely out the window, and you kind of like eat anything you want, have anything that's around, and you really overdo it because you turn your discipline entirely off instead of dialing it back. When you turn it off, you're a wild animal and you're just eating everything in sight, and you're drinking all these calories, and you gain 10 pounds in that week when you could have just dialed it back, maintained your weight, and then continued off the next week. So the main thing I'm trying to get here is that week to week, day to day, month to month, your priorities can change, and that's okay. As long as you recognize what your priorities are and you're making an informed decision, you'll be all right. You don't need to do everything all at once. You don't need to force all of this extra stress and overwhelm to push everything together all at the same time. That's what lifestyle fitness is all about. It's about making it fit your lifestyle no matter what period of time you're going through in your life, whether that's a busy work period, a busy personal life period, a busy school period. You gotta have something that fits that at the same time. And if it doesn't fit, being okay and recognizing that you can put that on the back burner because it's not the most important thing for you right now. And that's okay. You can put it as a priority later on. So shifting the perspective once again from all or nothing discipline to 100% discipline all the time or no discipline is the flawed mindset. This is not the mindset that anyone should be having to be successful in any aspect of their life. Instead, viewing it in terms of a dial, viewing it as something that you can adjust the intensity of. You don't want to be at 0 all the time. You don't want to be at 100 all the time. You want to be between 60 and 95%, I would say, a majority of the time. And that's going to give you the flexibility to be successful in changing your physique and reaching the health goals and fitness goals that you want, and enjoy your life. Have the freedom to eat the foods you want to eat with minimal restriction, right? Enjoy going out with your friends without feeling stressed or overwhelmed or thinking about what you're eating all the time, and silently being consumed by the menu when you go out to eat or anything like that. You have that flexibility to do both, and it comes from recognizing that discipline is something you have control over, and that you have the option, and it's okay, and it's still a good thing, and you're still going to progress by not being 100% disciplined that whole time. So that is how to shift your perspective on discipline. Again, this is a more accurate view on discipline I try to encourage with my clients, because we all fall victim to this all or nothing mentality, or fall victim to these expectations around different things that we're trying to accomplish, whether that is fitness or nutrition or anything else that we're trying to do that's new to us in our life. We have an expectation about how things quote unquote should be, and when they don't fall in line with that 100% of the time, we kind of lose our grip on what we're trying to accomplish and give up entirely. But it's never as it seems, and these expectations, if we don't manage them appropriately and shift our perspective on how we approach these things through the different obstacles that we might face, will lead us again down a path of negative emotions, stress, overwhelm, anxiety, and just hopelessness, right? And we want to steer away from that. So hopefully you found this episode helpful. If you did find it helpful, please share it with a friend that might be going through something like this and will need the helpful reminder. That'll be it for this episode of the podcast. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.